Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Hammond Built channel. I'm CJ. This is E36. We're going to do some more rust repairs today. Last week I left off with repairing the floor and inner rocker panel. This week we're going to fix the jack point and the brace that goes along with it in the front here. I also cut a couple other pieces to fill some more of the engine bay for my shaving. Once we get this front corner dealt with, we got a couple pieces towards the back before the whole rocker goes back on, but we'll get to that in time, hopefully sooner than later. But first, I'm going to show you what kind of metal I made for the front and kind of go from there. Okay, so last week we did our inner rocker panel and our floor panels. Still have to be welded. I'm going to get around to those with the rest of this, but with that, we have this piece, which came off of this inner brace and comes down to the bottom of the floor here. As you can see, Ontario has taken its toll to the bottom of our rocker. So, with that gone, we made ourselves a little template, which goes up into here nicely. I took that, cut out a piece of 18 gauge, stamped some holes in it to add some strength, as the factory piece has a hole in the bottom and a big pressed in piece. I didn't really want to get into bead rolling something that's simple and hidden, so 3 hits on the dimple die, very quick and easy, little 1 inch or 1 1/4 holes. We're going to take that, we have to weld these around the edges to add a little bit more strength to this, as well as the factory one does have. As you can see, it's sitting off the ground, it has little edges as well. So we'll weld these all the way around, cut them off smooth, weld it in. It's all going to be primered. I'm going to get primer on the back of all this before I go cutting, because it's going to be hidden and we don't want more rust starting. And once that's done, I took my factory jack point. Everything from about here down was heavily rotten, not usable anymore. So I sandblasted it, primered all the inside, so I don't have to worry about it. We're gonna weld up these 2 lines and grind them smooth. And then we're gonna take this and weld it back into place right here on the factory cut line that I did, and make sure it's fitted well. There seems to be a little bit of movement, but it's going to get welded back into place here. I have a new lower jack point, which is this metal here. This will be on the bottom, and then we're going to take this chunk of 1/8 as well and cut it up and attach it to the bottom side of the tube here, to this, so that when I jack up on this point, it pushes up on here, which pushes here and goes all into the factory reinforcements in this A-pillar. So once that's done, it'll all get primered. I got a hole to drill through the middle of this because I want to put factory rubber jack points in there, so we'll get to that piece. But with that, we'll get to welding up this, getting it fitted, and continue from there. We've got to cut a little lip off here too, so that the bottom of the rocker lives where it needs to. And then we'll work down getting the rest of the rocker off the bottom of here. This brace and that jack point are going to come out so that they can be sandblasted, primered, and welded back into place. And then the rocker goes on with a little cutout right here so we can fit it up underneath. But with that, let's get to welding. Okay, as you can see, we're welded all the way around. Just a quick MIG, it just needs to hold together with some tacks to get me there. I gotta weld that, I forgot about it. But we're gonna clean that up and get it into place. Throw some weld through on everything and go from there. Okay, so with that, we're all ground down. I should really re-prime that, but we're primered. Gotta put some new stuff on this side. I kind of screwed that up, but we're primered. That's all primered. We're ready to go. So with the better look, we've got this welded in place. I had to modify it just a little. Apparently I was a hair long on this side, so we just brought that in. Welded along the top, fixed the little cutout I had here, sprayed everything with primer. Now, we have our inner brace back. Now we're going to get the jack mount into place and welded, and continue on to the bottom part of this jack mount. Okay, so we got it tacked in place. As you can see, my spot weld landed in the same spot. All the cut lines are in the same spot. I'm gonna add a little weld along the backside of here and right here, because there used to be a spot weld that went through this panel, and oh, there's still a hole there, so maybe I'll actually just reuse that. And then we'll get to building the bottom side of this. But I'm gonna weld this all into place and then continue on to the next piece. Okay, now we have this welded in, ground down, looking good. I brought out our passenger side fender, which, using all the bolt holes, I just have it sitting kind of in place because as you can see, I got another piece to fill that hole down there. I made a new bracket to hold the lower part of the fender. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little line underneath where this goes, welded into place. I'm going to round off the edges, put the holes in it, and then I'm going to find myself some M6 rib nuts and put them through this so that when it's time to put this on for good, it bolts in how it's supposed to, and it's all done. Okay, so I got some weld holes put through it to get it into place. I'm going to do the lower holes when I get the rocker panel and the fender fully installed so that they end up exactly where they need to be with having to use all kind of adjustment. So we're going to get that in, going to spray that real quick with some weld through and continue on our way. Okay, we got our plate. I'm going to drill this completely out once the rocker goes on to give myself the best hole size, just to make sure it's all good, but gives me a good starting position. Now this goes roughly right here, kind of in line with it. We'll build a plate down to the bottom of this so it pushes up into the actual through jack point, and then this will all be done. Okay, so now with our lower plate in place, our upper plate in place, we're going to take this and we'll cut off from work and fill the difference between the jack point, or the lower jack point, to the upper jack point. So for a better view here, I'm going to take this and put it underneath the factory piece here, right along the edge, and weld it there. The factory one did come up and around a little bit onto the face. I might take whatever extra I have here and build a little forward one here as well. I might not, since this isn't going to get covered up right away, I might on Tuesday when I'm back to work grab another piece of 1/8 and run it up the other side, just kind of triangulate it, just so it has the most support right here, as it is the front jack point. But we're gonna zip that off real quick and get this piece into place, and then essentially this front corner is 100% done. So with that, we have our jack point back, nice and solid. Honestly, this is probably more than enough, considering this is 1/8 inch plate, welded to 1/8 inch, going up to what I want to believe is probably a piece of 16 gauge sheet metal up there, as it's slightly thicker than the 18 we used here, definitely thinner than the 1/8 I'm using here. But considering the factory jack point, like this one, like I said, this whole piece, that's only 16 gauge stamped if I'm not mistaken. So down here, this might have been a piece of 8 they used, somewhere around there, or a very metric version considering it's German. But this holds up pretty well. This jack point's still very strong. I could lift the car from here, no problem. It's gonna get pulled out, cleaned up, re-welded in just to make sure it lasts forever. This one should be more than strong enough, especially because of how it's made. Not having that front turnover like this one has probably isn't the biggest of deals because of the fact that this is much stronger plate than that plate is. So with that, I'm gonna call this done. I may or may not grab some 18 gauge and build a little cover here. Is it necessary? Probably not, but we now have our whole corner back. I gotta get to welding up those seams from the inside, but that's done there. So with all that, thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content as, like I said, we got some more work to do down there, like the back jack point and brace and all that stuff, which will be coming up next as we're done with the front side. We can finally move back, get closer to putting our rocker panel on. So good night and have a good one.